Welcome back to the Warwickshire Cricket Board Coaches Association Coaching Tips videos. We hope you enjoyed the last video. It's still up online on the Warwickshire Cricket Board YouTube, so please go and take a look if you haven't already. Some really useful drills for playing against spin. Today, in this video, we're going to focus on coaching behaviours and some principles that coaches can follow to get the best out of their players. More focused at one-to-one and small group coaching, but there's some really key principles in here. We were lucky enough to have a chat with Paul Greetham, elite cricket development manager here on the Warwickshire pathway, and he explained what principles himself and the coaches on the pathway like to follow in order to get the best out of their players. Those 6 principles are decision making, challenge, healthy mistakes, game application, adding value and smiles. Here's our chat with Paul earlier.
I think whatever the level of ability or play that you're working with, or the coaching environment as a whole, everybody needs to enjoy it and want to come back. And the game is in a place where it needs to retain everybody in the game at whatever level, whether you're talented or not. And I encourage my coaches to create an environment whereby they get to know their players not just as a player but as a person. What makes them tick, what makes them really enjoy cricket and the game, and I just encourage them to, at the start of each session, to have a bit of banter and to make people smile and have a laugh and share a joke, but also I think a player is more likely to enjoy a session and smile a session and leave with a smile on their face if they've actually achieved something, if they feel that they've been challenged and they've actually improved during the session. So there's a number of different elements to enjoying the game and making sure everybody is smiling at the end of it, and that's bringing out the personality of the coach and the player, and making sure that everybody leaves having accomplished something.
Or 4? You want to go 4?
I think what one-to-one work or small group work enables a coach to do is to work out what actually drives a player. So, and sometimes you have to challenge a player in terms of developing their character, because they have to become, under pressure, they've got to become pretty resilient and tough and deal with various situations. But also, I think you have to balance that out with confidence building and working on their strengths. So it might be that something really challenges a player because they're weaker in a certain area of their game. But thinking about the session I ran the other day, it was important that in the same session I gave the opportunity for the player to work on something they were very good at, and in order to make that a super strength. So I would encourage coaches to get to know their player, obviously, as well as they possibly can. And when you're working in small groups or one-to-one, that enables you to then differentiate between that player and that player. What makes that player tick, what they find challenging, another player might find quite easy.
Right, so what we're going to do, 5 minutes ago when I talked about your feet movement, I'm just going to pull the length back a little bit. So I want your feet to work really hard. Okay, so they're just working a little bit harder. And I want you to play with the spin. We've talked about that before. Okay, and you see I've got this target here now. Okay, these stumps. Okay, so get in line well as you've been doing already. Okay, but now you've got to work your feet a little bit harder to get to the pitch of the ball. And I want to see how many times in these next 10 balls you can actually hit those stumps. Okay, yeah, you're aiming to hit it. Imagine that you've got long on out on the boundary. All right, and you're trying to pierce that gap to get 1s, 2s. Okay, pushing that field along the ground. You're trying to hit those stumps. Okay, my challenge to you out of 10 will be, I think if you hit them 3 times, you'll be doing very well. So that's your target. All right.
Thanks.
It would be irresponsible of us as coaches to not provide a challenging environment, because county cricket at whatever level is hard, and a lot of these guys and girls are playing very good league cricket or school cricket outside of here. And so we must challenge, and with challenge comes mistakes. And actually, I encourage all of our coaches to make sure that players do make mistakes, but also that there is some perspective, and we're encouraging the perspective of the player to make sure they're actually okay with making mistakes, that there is some kind of, if you like, safe environment whereby they feel that I can make a mistake without someone having a go at me or criticising me. And of course it's important we get parents alongside us as well on that regard, because otherwise there could be some quite tricky conversations in the car on the way home. So I'd like to think that, and we've worked very hard on this, to make sure that we do have a very challenging environment, but the level of support there in terms of making mistakes to move forward and to improve is very much evident.
Yeah, so what we're doing in this lane is basically they've got one rule to follow, which is no defence, and apart from that they can try whatever they want. They're not fussed about how many mistakes they make, as long as they're trying to get right forward, right back, and try and experience what they can and can't do with as many options as they possibly can. But one big focus here, no defence and mistakes, we do not mind at all.
I talk to the coaches all the time about that they're here to add value at the end of the day. You know, what can we do to take a player from A to B in a number of different skills, and they're all working on lots of different things, whether they're a batter, bowler or all-rounder. And it's important at the end of each session to actually ask and reflect with the player, well, what did we improve today? And I think, you know, as far as our academy and certainly our EPP are concerned, we self-reflect all the time as coaches and players against a personalised plan to make sure that the player does feel that they're moving forward. And so I'm constantly asking coaches to ask themselves and their players, well, where have we gone in this session, or where have we gone in this phase of training?
So how'd it go, mate? How do you feel?
I feel good. When I was getting towards the end, when I jumped over and go for like I was putting
Peeling off?
Peeling off.
Okay, that's probably natural because obviously we're trying to straighten your entry to the crease.
Yeah.
So peeling off and bowling around yourself is probably something that you've always naturally done because you've had a big angle and you've had to bowl around yourself a little bit. So that's something that, yeah, is natural to you. But if we can get you entrance into the crease straighter, then that should sort of sort itself out. But yeah, it's something that we are going to be aware of and we are going to continue to work on. But don't worry about it too much. We've got the two things that we're working on, which is the split and getting your entrance into the crease much straighter. But exactly, yeah. And you've got more momentum going to the crease, because when you load up together, then obviously momentum's going back, and you've got to fight against yourself. So you were fighting the angle and you were fighting your momentum going backwards. So that's why we're trying to iron out these two things. So going forward, I think you'll feel a big change. That's really good. All right, good work.
Cheers, thanks.
In our winter work, we generally work in 3 phases, and obviously probably in the 3rd phase, and as we get closer to the season, all of our work is about applying all of the technique and tactics that they've learnt in the first half of the winter and putting that into some sort of game scenario. And obviously with the academy, we may take them away most years, so we combine a training camp with 50 over matches during the week. And so we're slowly, as we're getting towards the English season, making sure that there is a large degree of game application And we do that either it might be on a one-to-one or a small group basis, by setting up scenarios in the hall, maybe opening out the nets. And I appreciate that we are fortunate here that not everybody might be able to do that. But every coach could set up a scenario whereby the game changes, the pressures change, that there is a live situation going on, and that is a different pressure on a player than just practicing a shot or an isolated skill. I guess in the interest of not producing players that are robots, every session we want them to be making some sort of decisions. So if you're working on, even if you're working on skills, as opposed to game-based skills or tactical awareness, we want the player to be making decisions rather than the coach just directing or dictating what that player is doing. So it will come down to, if you're working with the batsman, varying lengths, so they're actually having to make decisions, because we all know bowling machines don't necessarily promote decision making for batters. But we want players who are able to make decisions, good decisions, tactically or technically under pressure. And so we want to train that in the training environment. And so I would encourage all of our coaches to make sure that in every single session the player makes decisions as well as the coach.
Okay, so the drill for Logan was to try and hit the ball as late as he can, make it under his eyes, play in his bubble and hit the ball into the ground and get it to bounce before it hits the side netting. And the challenge was we set 4 stumps out for him. If the ball wasn't going to hit those stumps, so i.e. on the 5th stump, he had to leave it. In the 4 stumps, he had to play it. If he played it one he shouldn't have, he had to make a run.
Thanks to Paul Greetham and his coaches on the Warwickshire Pathway for the video and the help today. We hope you found that useful and can use some of the principles and behaviours going forward in your coaching. If you need any more coaching support, please visit warwickshirecricketboard.co.uk or check out our Warwickshire Cricket Board podcasts, which are available on all streaming platforms, but Spotify and iTunes are a few of them. Thanks for watching, see you next time.